Yeah, so it would be easier for me to respond to this specifically if I knew the specific fear that was in play. But generally speaking, I would say that, we should not let fear get in the way of doing pro-life work. Someone famous once said, I think this has been like attributed to multiple people at this point, but that idea of courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is doing something in spite of the fear. And so I am someone that experiences fear. I've recently gotten really into the Enneagram personality profile thing. So I'm going to take a minute and get into that. So for you Enneagram lovers, you're going to get really excited. And for the rest of you, you might tune out for a couple of minutes, or you should really get into it. It's awesome. I've learned so much about myself and the people around me. Helps me to empathize with the people around me, understanding more about the Enneagram. I highly, highly recommend it. But I am a 6 with a 5 wing. And I'll just kind of summarize what that means for me. 6s are known for being fairly fearful, anxious creatures. It's not easy to live life as a 6. You kind of constantly have a voice in your head of all the worst case scenarios that might happen in your relationships, in your work. And it's hard to tune that out. That's why 6s tend to listen to podcasts and music all the time. We're trying to tune that voice out. It's hard for us to be in silence. So I'm continuing to try to grow in that. 6s are really good devil's advocates. I think that is like part of my role in the pro-life movement is to help pro-life people to understand pro-choice people better. And I think naturally I do that as a 6. They're very loyal. And 5s, my 5 wing, which means I have a little bit of this other thing, those are they're both heady personality types, but 5s are very, very logical. They're great at research. They're pretty much always right. Like there's this one Enneagram podcast where they say, if you're married to a 5, I'm sorry, but she's always right. And that is true. I am married to a 5 and she's always right. So a lot of my kind of logical, philosophical nature, I think, comes from my 5 wing. So all that to be said, I feel fear, and it's just a matter of what would we want to have done if we were living in a different time with a different human rights and justice going on? Like, I hope that I would have been a slavery abolitionist, working with William Wilberforce or someone to try to help with that. And that was not a easy thing to do. Those people felt a lot of fear. It's just like, you just get through that. Jesus, if you want a great example, felt a ton of fear going to the cross. He still did it. I also want to say that the hardships of pro-life work are, at least if you're in America, all things considered, these hardships are far less scary than the kind of persecution that religious people experience in other countries. I get a little bit annoyed sometimes hearing Christians in America use the word persecution to describe someone being mean to them online or something like that. Just knowing what some Christians are experiencing, and Muslims too, but just different religious people in places where there's true oppression. We're not going through that. If someone was mean to you, it's gonna be okay. And so I just want to tell people you can do it. You've got what it takes. And the question is, are you going to be one of the people who rises up and joins us?